Welcome to a special 2013 Signing Day edition of SVSU Red Alert. I'm J.J. Boehm, joined by SVSU Football coach Jim Collins. And Coach, this is always one of those interesting days. None of these people have even showed up for a practice yet, but everybody's interested in the new people joining your program.
Absolutely, and especially when you bring in the quality young men that this class has provided for us. We're excited about it. They're excited. I think the excitement in the recruiting process from the get-go was really outstanding this year, and to see it culminate today on signing day, it's a great day, and it's a sign of relief for the coaching staff, myself, to know that these guys are going to be Cardinals.
And 33 student athletes signing as part of this class. And first of all, one of the things that was interesting to observe this year was how much earlier it seemed that student athletes across Michigan simply made up their mind, committing to schools much earlier than has historically been the case.
That's a great point, because that's the thing that when you get to signing day, you feel the relief, because for 2 months we've had some commitments and really high-quality commitments, and then you're waiting and nothing's official, even though they can post it on Twitter and the D-Zone and all these other media outlets. It's not going to be official till you see that NLI come across that fax machine. And that's a great thing. I think Division II is following Division I, JJ. I think you're seeing an earlier recruiting process. In the past, people waited to commit, and now they're committing early, but they're also being recruited earlier. You're really starting to get on guys at the end of their junior years. You're developing some thoughts and recruiting processes. You're even offering guys now in the summertime before they even play their senior year of football. So I think everything's happening faster, and I think the social media is helping with it.
And so that's something that's certainly one trend. Another trend here for SVSU is this class has 9 commitments from out of state. That's something that SVSU is doing as a university, trying to recruit more out-of-state students to maintain our current enrollment levels. And talk about what that process was like. Certainly no surprise you've had out-of-state kids before, but more in this class than in years past.
Well, I think the emphasis with the university has really opened up more avenues for us to go out-of-state and recruit. I think you'll notice that the bulk of the recruiting class is still Michigan. It will always be Michigan. We're always going to recruit the state of Michigan. We're a Michigan school. We've got 4 or 5 local guys this year. But the ability to get across the borders now and recruit high-caliber student athletes is I think, a great thing to have for us as a university and as a football program. We've got connections out of state, and we were able to talk to the coaches out of state, identify some fine young men that can play the game of football and be successful here academically. And I think it shows with this recruiting class. The other part of it is, I think as you look towards what it's going to take, and we're in a league now with 15 teams, a north and a south, and what it's going to take to win the whole thing and compete for national championships, it is great to have that opportunity to go out of state and identify some of those people that can help you do that.
And looking in particular at this year's class, starting at the quarterback position, you have someone who's kind of an interesting case in and of himself, Tyler Palka out of Saline High School in Michigan, but last year played for Whitmer High School in Toledo across the state line in Ohio. So really interesting from the standpoint, and had great success, I believe reaching the state finals each of those 2 years, or this year semifinals.
The great thing about Tyler is the coach's son, which is a great quality to have as a quarterback. His father was the head coach at Toledo. Whitmer turned that program around, and Tyler was 14-1 as a junior starting quarterback at Toledo. Whitmer losing to the state champs, Cleveland St. Ignatius, and then he went across the border. His father got the job at Saline High School. Tyler went there with him, obviously, and they went 13-2 this past season, and ended up losing to the eventual state champs, Cass Tech. So, Tyler's been around winning his whole life. His dad's a successful coach, and we're really impressed with a lot of the qualities he brings to the table. He's a dual threat guy, and he's a winner. And that's, in this day and age in college football, you need a guy that can run, you need a guy that can throw, but you're also looking for those guys that can win football games, and he's proven that.
And again, interesting, the caliber of competition against which he's been able to prove himself at the high school level.
Obviously, Division I in Ohio and Division I in the state of Michigan, competing against high-caliber athletes in very competitive environments week in and week out.
Moving on to the running back position, SVSU bringing in 3 running backs, all from the state of Ohio, and this is obviously a position group that is going to get a little more attention than some because you graduated your top 2 running backs in Tim Hogue and Ronnie Lark.
Well, we make no mistake, we went after guys that we knew would have an opportunity to compete right away for a starting running back position. Now, there's no guarantees. We've got some fine young running backs coming back on our team right now, and obviously they've got the leg up on things. But we wanted to make sure we brought in freshmen that we thought could compete, had the physical and mental tools to compete right away as running backs in our system. And we found 3 guys that fit that bill. Ramont Harden is out of Springboro, Ohio, which is a suburb of Dayton, and he's got size and speed, and it gets repetitive. David Nays from Northeast Ohio and Galion, Ohio, and same combination of size, speed, physical. And then Noah Prentice from Westerville South, and we're all familiar with Westerville South because that's where our quarterback went to school. Same thing, big, physical, fast guy, capable of making the big play. All 3, I think, are great fits to our system, and they're going to come in and compete right away.
And I know that was something that was important to you, knowing that, again, you got guys who obviously are waiting for their opportunity, but also that's something that can appeal to someone who wants to play right away.
No question. And I think the reality is you need more. In years past, we've proven you need more than 2 or 3 backs to get the job done in this league because they're going to take some hits, and it's a physical position, and we're going to give the ball to the back quite a bit. So, to have a bunch of guys all competing is going to make that group better, and I think we're bringing in some fine young men to do it.
Moving on to the wide receiver position, one thing I know is that the pickup basketball games among the football team are going to get a whole lot better because I think all 4 of these guys are at least 6'2" or taller.
We brought in great height this year, and I think the success we saw in that last game with a Jeff Janis going up and getting a football, and then Grand Valley having some guys that can go up and get the football. I think you see, that big, tall receiver that can compete for the football when it's in the air, but also has the speed and ability to run with the ball after the catch is at a premium. And we've got 4 guys that can all do that. And, Ryan Anderson brings a little bit more to the table because he also punts, but he's that type of receiver. Tall guy, goes up and gets it, long strider. Chaz Miller, Lake Orion, same exact type of player, big, physical, but also does some things with the ball in his hands after the catch. He's not just a guy that goes up and jumps for it. He can make plays after the catch. Devin Scott Stith is an interesting one because Devin got hurt his knee, and really, had he not hurt his knee, it would have been real interesting to see how far he could have come, but he had an outstanding junior year and really looked good in our camp over the summer. He's got great athleticism. And then Leonte DeGraff and Reed out of Edsel Ford down there in Dearborn, JJ, is another one of these phenomenal guys that can make the play when the ball's in the air. But you watch his highlights, same type of thing. He does some great things with the ball in his hand, running away from people, avoiding blocks, running over a couple guys. All 4 physical players that can run, make big plays, and compete when the ball's in the air.
And an important position to build depth when you look at your top 3 receivers from a year ago were all juniors, which means they're all going to be seniors for this year ahead.
It'll be interesting to see if any of these guys can compete as true freshmen because I think they have the ability and the mentality to do that. But as you said, we've got some seniors coming back and a great group of seniors, maybe the best receivers in the league. But, they're only going to have 1 more year to play. So anybody waiting in the wings is going to have a great, career after these guys graduate.
And, of course, for those guys to get open, for the running backs to have holes, you need the big guys blocking up front and bringing in 5 different offensive linemen, including one from just down the road in Hemlock.
Well, I'll tell you, Aaron Mathias, and we've kind of had our eye on Aaron Mathias for a while. Obviously, his brother is a scholarship offensive lineman at Wisconsin. The Wisconsin fans saw Mathias' brother playing in the Rose Bowl. Aaron is cut out of the same mold. Aaron doesn't have the amount of weight that his brother did coming out of high school. He's a little bit leaner, but he has that height, that length, and the great feet. I think the thing that we've noticed since day one about Aaron, 3-sport athlete, super football player, outstanding blocker, physical player, was also really good as a defensive end. He's the key guy on their basketball team, and he's also a track athlete. So he really hasn't had the ability just to stay in the weight room and gain weight and muscle. And it's going to be really exciting to see what happens to him when he has that ability to do that in our strength program. But great feet, long body, long arms. You're going to fit real well with the tackles we've had here the last couple of years.
And then looking at some of the other offensive linemen, you've got a couple with programs, obviously. Good success recently in Muskegon and Grand Rapids Christian, as well as another one from suburban Dayton in Huber Heights, and then one from downriver Detroit.
Well, let's talk about Matt Thomas from Gibraltar Carlson. His coach, Ken Secor, played here and has done a great job of recommending great football players to our program, and Matt fits right in there. And Matt's a really smart guy. He's going to be a pre-med major. And, you look at this offensive line group, and the thing that sticks out the most is they're all intelligent in the classroom and as players as you talk to their coaches. Matt's a guy that's physical. He's long. He's got the height and the weight. So he's everything you're looking for in an offensive lineman. And then Antoine Billings, from Muskegon High, another one of those. He's going to come here and being an engineering major, outstanding. I think he's going to fit in really well to what we do on, up on the defensive line. Zach Hadorn, another great connection. Zach plays at Oxford. That's where Kyle Rowley's dad is the head coach, one of our former players, and Kyle's also on staff there. So great connection to see some of our alums out there in the high school ranks coaching, able to recommend Saginaw Valley State. Zach's a physical guy, does great things with his hands. Some of the technical things you're looking for, the polished type of things he's got already. So he's going to be fun to coach for Coach Miller. Max McCombs out of Davison. Been with us the whole time. Came to our camps. Came to a couple games in the fall. We really high on his ability to stop the run. And when you're looking for those interior guys on the defensive line, you're looking for a combination of speed and size. And Max has got that. And then Andrew McDoolin is from Madeira High School, which is near Cincinnati. And, it's an interesting thing that out-of-state thing that we've emphasized really opened up some avenues. We talked about that, and Andrew's the one that was getting recruited by all the schools in the state of Ohio. He's a highly recruited guy, but obviously when he came to Saginaw Valley, fell in love with our coaches and our campus and what we could provide, and he's cut out of the Ryan Bush mold. He's long, he's about 6'4", 6'5", and really comes off the edge. Great pass rusher and a physical run stopper as well. And then the last guy that we had commit to us was a big defensive, also played offensive lineman from Indiana. Right in a small town between Fort Wayne and Indianapolis, Chris Travis. And we're talking about a guy that's close to 300 pounds, that's one of the best wrestlers in the whole state of Indiana, and is extremely strong. I think his bench press is right around 400 pounds. So all those guys together, when you look at our defensive line, you see some good seniors graduating. These guys really we're looking forward to be the future of this defensive front.
And when you look at linebackers, some interesting things here. Again, another really local product where we've got a little bit of history at the linebacker position. Also, you move over to the Kalamazoo area. Last year, bringing arguably the top linebacker from that region, do it again this year. So, and then you've also got somebody from out in the Thumb as well. So, really interesting group there for the linebacker class.
Well, the interesting thing is 3 of them are fairly local, which is a good thing. We've got an opportunity to really get to know them and follow them week in and week out because we go to those local games. Number one, I can remember meeting Lucas Burrell from Dow High School his junior year, and he kind of looked like John Jacobs. I'm not saying he's yet the player John was, but he looked like him. He's built like him, and when you talk to the coaches at Dow, that's who he reminded them of there. And I think Lucas is a guy that moves well, like John did. He's got great hips, can change directions really well, and he's going to put on some weight. He's got a decent-sized frame to put on some weight. So we're excited about Lucas. Sloan Klasky from Harbor Beach, they won the state championship. He's got a ring this year, but got hurt at the beginning of the year. He was arguably their best player his junior year. Did it all for him, was their starting tailback, starting linebacker, all over the field, very athletic, fast, and got hurt during the season, early in the season. And, we had offered him over the summer. And I remember Sloan texting me earlier in the year saying, "Oh, are you still interested in me?" And just responding, "Heck yes, we are," because he's everything you're looking for. He's also going to attend Saginaw Valley on a presidential scholarship. So I think that speaks volumes about what he's capable of. And he's worked really hard, rehabbed really hard, and we're really excited about Sloan. The other local product is Mitch Greenacre from Clare High School. And Kelly Luplo does a great job over there, and they've traditionally been a great program. And, Mitch is one of those do-it-all guys, all over the field, high motor, sideline to sideline, wreaking havoc in the backfield. So it's going to be fun to coach Mitch. And then, as we mentioned, we got some West Side guys. Joe Craven was a highly productive player out of Grand Rapids Catholic. And, Joe's statistics are unbelievable. He's got the all-time tackle record at Grand Rapids Catholic, which is, says a lot because that's a traditional powerhouse on the west side. He's been on every all-district and all-state team over the last 2 years. He also has a ring. He started as a sophomore on their team that won the state championship back in 2010. So that's 3 state championship rings in this recruiting class. And then the last one is Jack Jennings out of Paw Paw. And Jack is big. Jack reminds us a lot of Grant Caserta, a big guy that moves, hits, really smart, great instincts, and was highly productive, and comes from a coaching family. His dad was his grandfather was a long-time college coach in the state of Indiana. So a great group. And I will say this, when you put your guys up on the board and you look at, who do we want, that's a neat thing about how this class came together. These are the guys we wanted, and it's exciting to get them on signing date, and it's going to be great and exciting to get a chance to work with them.
Moving on to the defensive backfield, again, bringing in another solid group there in terms of 5 different players in the defensive backfield.
Well, I think when you're looking at what we do as a defense, so many times we're in a 3-safety look. So having very good safeties, guys that can run and cover ground and hit, the Jeff Heath mold, the John Bryant. You look at the Major Metcalfs. You look at the guys that we've had. We've had some really good safeties, and it's going to continue because we're really impressed with this group. Miles Collier out of Westerville South is one of those guys that you can see him. He comes off the edge. He can cover people. Great tackler in space. Those are things you're looking for. And a guy that can cover ground. Those are things you're looking for in a safety. Miles has that. The other guy that's impressive in that regard is Matt McCoy out of Canton, Michigan. Matt, you watch him. He's got great range. Matt's got size. Matt's probably 6'1", 6'2" right now, and he's going to put on weight. And he's going to be one of those guys that probably is going to play in the box more. Because of how physical he is and how big we think he can get. And then we got some guys that we're really high on that at corner. And, once again, you look at what it takes to play corner in this league, and you're going to be matched up against some outstanding receivers. So you've got to have guys that have ball skills, quickness, competitive. All 3 of these guys that play corner also played on offense. We're really good players on offense, and I think they bring a lot to the table. Ramal Iverson is the guy out of Columbus, Olentangy. If you watch his film, you would want to recruit him as much as an offensive guy as a defensive guy when you watch all the plays he made with the ball in his hand. But he's 6'1", he's lengthy, he can go up and defend the high ball in terms of pass coverage. He also hits. He's got that scrappiness in him. Ryan Verhelst played at West Ottawa, Grant Caserta School, and same type of player. Ryan is a tall guy. Was a great offensive player in high school. He's got great ball skills. He can play safety or corner when you look at how physical he is. But once again, a guy that has some length that can match up well with the taller receivers. Now, the other guy that doesn't exactly fit that mold in terms of height is Joe Shields. But when you watch Joe on film and you see him compete against the big receiver, it's impressive. He's one of those guys that's highly competitive. He's got a great vertical, great speed, and we saw him make a ton of plays and really take big receivers that he had played against in high school. And he played at a Division I school, so he went against some pretty good guys. Took some big receivers right out of the game just because of his technique and his ability to go up and play the football.
You mentioned Jeff Heath. Obviously, he had just had a chance to play as a safety in the Texas versus the Nation game, definitely on NFL draft boards at the very least. How much does that help in terms of being able to point out, here's someone who came to SVSU, 160 pounds, worked hard in the weight room, worked hard on the field, and now is going to have at least a shot at going on to play professionally?
Well, you know what? I think it's huge. You look at the history and tradition of the program, and anybody in this recruiting class that even remotely has that goal, and I think most do, of playing in the NFL, can look to a Jeff Heath and say, I can do it at Saginaw Valley because I know that the resources are there, the coaches are there to help me to develop to my potential, and that's what this is all about, JJ. And I say this in the recruiting process, and I use Jeff as an example. You're going to get out of this what you put into it. Jeff put an awful lot of blood and guts into this program, and he's reaping the benefits of it. And that's what this recruiting process is about, is educating the young men that come into our program about how hard you have to work in order for good things to happen. And we think we've got the high-character individuals that are capable of that.
And then back on the offensive side of the football, also bringing in 3 guys at the tight end position, and that'll be important. Again, that's like running back, another position where you lost your top 2 players to graduation.
And once again, we've got some good young guys in our program that are going to compete for those spots, but obviously it was a point of emphasis for us, and we think we found 3 guys that, just like at the running back position, we haven't promised anyone they're going to start, but we've promised them all you're going to have a great opportunity to play as a true freshman. And I think these 3 have that opportunity and have the ability to do that. First of all, Will Farr, really tall, physical player, good speed up the field, great hands, tight end from Grand Ledge. Once again, impress all 3 guys. I think the one thing that stands out is how physical they were in the run game, but their ability to make plays down the field, not just catch that little 5-yard out, but actually get vertically down the field. And Will fits that. Frank Heimkreiter out of Ross High School, and that's, for people unfamiliar with the Ohio region and southwest Ohio, Ross is somewhere between Hamilton and Oxford, just north of Cincinnati. So it's southwest Ohio, and Frank had a great career at Ross on both sides of the ball, dominant player on both sides of the ball, and is dominating right now during his wrestling season. So that speaks volumes, I think, about the type of physical player he is. But once again, you see Frank making a lot of big plays in the passing game. And then Scott Wetzel, just down the road in Howell, Michigan, same thing. Scott weighed in for us at 245, 6'4", 245, so he's a big guy. He's a physical player. That impressed us, but also his ability to make big plays in the passing game. They even had Scott listed at times as a receiver, and I think that shows just the type of athleticism he has in terms of catching the ball and making plays in the passing game. So all 3 guys extremely excited about, and excited because we think they got an opportunity to come in here and compete right away.
Final thoughts on what this recruiting season has been like, and your thoughts now as you begin preparation in earnest for a 2013 season that'll begin right away at traditional power Northwest Missouri State.
Well, first of all, thank all the people at Saginaw Valley for the help. I think we have great assistance, and people get invested in the recruiting process, not just our coaching staff, but everybody at the university, administrators, staff members, professors, that are all involved. I want to say thank you to them. And I want to especially say thank you to our coaching staff for all the hours they put in, because it's a lot of hard work recruiting finding them and then recruiting quality young men like we brought in. We're excited about this group. We think it's an outstanding group. We think there's some guys in this group that will have the opportunity to get on the field as true freshmen, but we're also excited about the fact that down the road, the future of Saginaw Valley looks really, really good. And I think when all these great players that we have in our program right now graduate, we're going to have some other outstanding football players to take over and take the reins from there. We're excited about this opener, Northwest Missouri, obviously a traditional powerhouse, and excited about going on the road and playing. And our football team's working real hard right now, JJ, on those preparations.
So we look forward to that coming up in September, but right now this is what you get in February. It is signing day, and we hope you have enjoyed this special 2013 signing day edition of SVSU Red Alert.